What was the goal of having him come out and read this, appear before the press, in a position that he says he has been reluctant to take in the past? In other words, being in front of the camera.
Well, the sources that I talk with in the administration and who are connected to Jared Kushner suggest that they didn't want to give the appearance that he was trying to dodge questions or to try to plead the fifth. In fact, they're calling today's meeting and not a testimony. They're making that distinction when Jared Kushner met earlier today here inside the Hart Senate building where I am, right next to me, with staffers of the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee. Actually, we're seeing this past half hour at least 3 members of that committee enter into the Senate committee room, presumably to receive a briefing of sorts. I spoke with one aide to one of those senators saying that they're being briefed on all of these matters as this investigation continues. Jared Kushner saying in that statement there was no collusion. They're trying to get out in front of this. They're trying to move on beyond this. The president himself tweeting out earlier today, why aren't the committees and investigators and, of course, our beleaguered AG looking into crooked Hillary's crimes and Russia relations? So they're trying to move on, trying to turn the page, trying to turn to health care. Senator Susan Collins just walked by me. I asked her any update on health care, and she said she still doesn't know what they're going to vote on.
Kevin, I want to come back to this actually because I was looking at some of the Democratic response to Jared Kushner's meeting today and the interview that he gave. Senator Ron Wyden saying no presumption here that Jared is telling the whole truth. He said that he should testify in public and that statement raises more questions than answers. Where does this go from here in light of that kind of commentary?
Julia, so I can tell you that tomorrow Jared Kushner will meet with the House counterparts of the House Intelligence Committee, presumably behind doors. Now, Donald Trump Jr. and Paul Manafort, the president's previous campaign manager, they've been invited to testify. It's very unlikely that they will on Wednesday before the Senate Judiciary Committee. But all of this suggests that the investigation has reached a new stage and that they're in the fact-finding position. I've spoken with several sources, Julia, who say that just because Jared Kushner did not testify publicly today doesn't mean that he won't testify publicly in the future, and that this is just the current phase of this investigation. Now, on the flip side of that, the backdrop to all of this is this Russia sanctions bill, which there was a bipartisan deal that was struck over the weekend by House leadership after the Senate nearly unanimously several weeks ago passed a version of this. So really what this sanctions bill does is give Congress the authority, congressional leadership, the authority to handcuff this president should he decide to try to weaken Russia sanctions. Whether or not he decides to not sign this bill, it would be essentially his first veto in a Republican-controlled Congress.